And so there's this element of digital ID that we're going to need a solution for it, but we have to be so careful about what those solutions are and what are the long-term complex implications once you take the first solution and you walk it down through 3 iterations of like subversion and control and, you know, trying to vie for power on it. It's like, how is that going to play out? And that's where I get concerned. And I think that's where like a person like Whitney is rightly very concerned, is that there's so many opportunities for us to get fooled into thinking we've got a solution that's actually just a slippery slope into totalitarianism. But I'm optimistic that the human spirit will win out in the end. It's just going to be a crazy wild ride on the way there.
Yeah. And so a couple things on this. First, I think digital ID, that issue is going to be forced at the border. If we're going to get rugged by the Trump administration, we're like, we need to secure the border. We need this digital ID. That's where I think it's going to come in. And then 2, the whole, I think framing is important. That's what Bitcoiners have really been focusing on for the last 15 years, is like, how do you frame Bitcoin? And you need to own the frame to ultimately win the battle you're trying to fight. And I think people who are worried about the digital ID battle that is upon us, whether you recognize it or not, we need to own the frame of a digital ID. Like, what is it? An identity is your like, an identity is very personal. It's like literally down to your soul. Like, I am me, and you can't tell me that I'm not who I am. Like, this is my identity. I own it. Yep. So I think the frame should be, and there are protocols, Nostr's pseudonymous. But there was a protocol that got built. They stopped working on it internally, but it blocked Web 5. I've talked to one of the lead developers there. His name's Daniel. But point being, setting the frame of, if it is deemed necessary to have some form of digital ID, individuals should be able to create the ID. It should not be issued to them by a government. Completely like, you should be able to tap into a protocol, like Web 5 is one of them, Nostr's. And that, I guess that's the whole debate. Like, do we actually need like digital ID where, you know, my full name, my address, all of that? And I think what Nostr is experimenting with is this pseudonymous online identity with web of trust social credit scores, if you will. Like, what's going to win out in the long run? Is it something where you actually have to tie your name, address, social security number to the internet? I don't like that idea. And I think it's going to be, the onus is going to be on the people building out protocols like Nostr, maybe Web 5, something else, to really build the tools to give people certainty that you can trust this web of trust and this score on this identity system. And it should be valid enough in meat space to give people comfortability if you're interacting with somebody like, hey, look at my Nostr web of trust social score.
Yeah, choice is so important there, in the sense that the dystopian view of digital ID is this forced digital ID that is issued to you by the government, and then you are forced to use for everything. And that obviously is like the worst case scenario. And but there's there's definitely like a gray area of very workable versions of that, where as long as I have the choice to, like, I create my Twitter account, that is a digital ID, and I own that, you know, digital identity, and it's only valid because of the web of trust that you're referring to. But like, as these sort of like some sort of official digital ID system is enacted, whether it's like through social media situations or through our banking whatever it is, as long as I'm not forced to use it where I don't want to use it, I think those are workable solutions probably. But the thing is that when I picture a digital ID system rolling out, whether it's from our government, our banking system, whatever it is, they're going to try to get us to use it for everything. Like, they're going to try. So our government gives me digital ID. The bank is going to try to link my bank account to it. The school system is going to try to link my school system to it. The HOA is going to try to get my digital ID linked to my housing situation. And the only thing that could stop that power creep of everyone wanting, because like more data is more power. Like, if you could get access to everyone's digital ID, even if you're like, you know, a little organization, a business, a coffee shop, whatever, that's value add. If I can get your digital ID at my coffee shop, then I have more data with which to like sell your data, do whatever, you know? And I think the onus at a certain point has to fall to us to say no. And like, if a bank starts to say, I'll only give you a bank account if you give me your digital ID, is to say, no, I'm not going to use your bank, right? I'll go use Bitcoin, or I'll go use this other bank. And so I'm hoping that we're all like aware of the complexity and problems enough that by the time these systems start being put in front of us and they start trying to link us into all of their little webs of identification, that we have enough awareness of the market of ideas to say, no, if we demand a bank that won't link our digital ID, someone will create that in the free market, right? Or whatever.
Bitcoin already exists. Like,
exactly, right?
Like, just send me a Bitcoin address.
Perfect example of it.
Yeah, and I mean, we already had, I guess, a trial run with the vaccine passport. That didn't go too well.
Yeah, and I mean, such a good example. The perfect training.
As a time, it exists, living it, here it is, as it is.